Should this be the bottle we're hyping up instead of all the allocated stuff? Today we're doing a review of Baker's 7. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So today we're taking a look at a product from Jim Beam Distillery, Baker's 7-year-old single barrel. So story here goes that I think it was back in 2019, and previously to that, this was a small batch bourbon, taking about 200 barrels, mixing them together, and creating this product. They shifted that in 2019 to be a single barrel product, sort of revamped it, maybe made it a little bit more prestigious. This comes out now at 107 proof, 7-year age statement, so at least 7 years. The cool thing about these is that they are often much older than 7 years. So mine is actually 8 years and 7 months old. So closer to 9 years old, which is really, really cool. And so 7 years is the minimum, but you might get something quite older than that. Mash bill on this product here is 77% corn, 13% rye, and 10% malted barley. It is right around $60 MSRP. You might see it for a little bit more in certain areas, but that's where it sits pretty comfortably. And for me, this is a bottle that kind of just has flown under my radar. I've heard about it in the past, but never really had it hyped up for me. Nobody's really recommended it directly until recently. I've seen a couple of YouTubers that I really respect, Everyday Drinker and Bourbon Kingdom in particular, have been highlighting this bottle a lot lately and just sort of singing its praises. So I figured I'd go out, get one, and let you guys know what my thoughts are on this single barrel product. I think the question really is, like, is this one of those products that's just kind of sitting out there, people aren't really talking about much, but might actually be better than some of the allocated stuff we're always hyping up? Just before we dive into the whiskey itself, I do want to say that off to a strong start in 2023. Awesome to see the community continue to grow. If you haven't subscribed already, would love to have you aboard. And while you're at it, hit that like button too. It really helps get the content out. And then also in the comments below, let me know if you've tried Baker's and what your opinion of it is so far. All right, let's dive into the nose, palate, and finish here. Ooh, okay. There's a real nice sweetness here. Vanilla really comes through with some vanilla. Honey. Light caramel, almost even in that like butterscotch range. Some oak. There's a spiciness to it, but not too much, just a touch of that. And I wouldn't say it's floral, but I'm sort of surprised by the blend of some of maybe a lighter cherry going in here. So a lighter fruity quality, just some lighter characteristics, but there are base tones like that oak that balance it out. But it's pretty nice and light and sweet with a nice backbone to it. All right, very intriguing. Let's go in on the palate. Cheers, everybody. Okay, way more nut and way more spice on the palate, and a lot of that light cherry, almost like the cherries that you put on top of a sundae, a kind of candied cherry note going on here, but a lot of that oak as well, but mostly I just got that spice and nut up front, and it sweetens out to this really nice vanilla cherry oak. Let's go back in for a second sip here, see if we can pick out apart some more flavors, but that's a really strong start. Cheers. Nice. Some caramel there. I might even be getting like a pistachio note, so something in that nutty range. There's just the traditional peanut here, but I think I got a little bit of like a pistachio, a little bit of a saltiness too, and then really rises up with that vanilla cherry cola kind of sweetness, this like syrupy sweetness, sweet syrup. I've heard Everyday Drinker describe this as like a cherry vanilla Coke. Would totally agree with that assessment. There's a lot of that light bright cherry, a lot of that vanilla, and then kind of a smooth, sweet cola note. All right, let's dive into the finish here with a third sip. Cheers, everybody. Cinnamon. Cinnamon came through strong on that sip. So I got a lot more of that honey and cinnamon and nut coming through on that sip. Really, really solid. Good complexity here, giving me kind of different punches of flavor each time, which I'm enjoying. I think that the cherry vanilla is what's coming up the most with this finish, maybe a touch of oak. But I feel like what lingers for me is that touch of that cinnamon sweetness and spice, but a lot of that cherry and vanilla and some oak. Very, very solid finish. Traditionally, I don't love like soda that much. I don't love cola notes, but I think this is blended in nicely with enough other flavors that I'm really enjoying it. Just wanted to quickly go back to the nose. Yeah, getting more nut and even maybe a little bit chocolatey on that nose now. So it's opened up a little bit, got some of those darker flavors, but the palate is nice and punchy. That 107 proof, really nice proof. I think that anything in that 105 to 115 range has a chance to shine a lot because it brings good flavors, but isn't gonna overwhelm your palate. So love the 107 proof here. Mouth feels pretty solid, not the best thing ever, but you know, pretty good. And I think overall, I'm just surprised with how many different sort of channels this operated on. Though I do think the core elements here are that, you know, cola note, that cherry, that vanilla, and a little bit of like nut and spice. So how do we place this bottle sort of in the world of bourbon and whiskey? How does it stack up compared to others? Keep in mind, this is a single barrel, so yours might vary a little bit from mine, but I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a great price at 60 bucks. That's about what I'd evaluate this at, maybe a little bit higher even. It's quite solid at that price and worth it. Would buy again. I've done recent reviews on Eagle Rare and Henry McKenna 10-year. So both of those have a 10-year age statement, and I would say realistically the price you're gonna get those for is in that like $60 to $70 range a lot of the time, unless you're lucky and stumble upon them at MSRP for like the 30 to 50 bucks. Direct comparison to these, maybe I'll have to actually compare them, but I think this stacks up with them, if not might be a little bit better than even the Henry McKenna. I do like Eagle Rare quite a bit, but I think with the proof here, you're getting a little bit more punch, and I just really like the flavors. So, recap here on Baker's 7. I think it's a really solid Jim Beam product. Nice 7-year age statement. Keep an eye out though, because you might see ones that are quite a bit older than that, even closer to 9 years like mine is. And for the price, definitely worth a try. Until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey, don't sleep on some other single barrel products, and cheers.